Peter Mutharika, president of Malawi, elected for the second time in a row, was sworn in on Tuesday, May 28, 2019 at Blantyre Stadium, attended by thousands of people. Peter Mutharika obtained 38.57% of the votes, ahead of his main rival, Lazarus Chakwera, with 35.41% of the votes, according to the Electoral Commission. This week, Wednesday, President Muhammadu Buhari was re-elected for a second four-year term at the head of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with 56% of the vote. Upon taking office, he reaffirmed his intention to fight against corruption and the high-proportion insecurity as his top priority. Neymar paid the price for his indiscipline. In less than 3 weeks from the Copa America's competition, the Brazilian coach took back the Brazilian captain's armband and handed it over to Dani Alves, considered as a more experienced player. The announcement was made in a statement on Monday evening by the Brazilian Football Federation. These are our top stories. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. In Malawi, the re-elected head of state congratulated the other candidates who participated in these elections, all of them considering that they must accept that there is only one winner during his swearing-in ceremony held on the day following the announcement of his victory. In Blantyre, the re-elected president claimed that this victory is that of the people, the victory of the rule of law and democracy.
Thank you, Malawians, for re-electing me as your president for the next 5 years.
While less than 160,000 votes separate Peter Mutharika and Lazarus Chakwera, the latter blows the whistle about irregularities during the vote counting of the presidential and legislative elections. But Mutharika says he wants to engage in a process of reconstruction and development of the country.
There is a time to argue and a time to agree. There is a time to pursue our personal goals and a time to pursue our collective national goal. This is a time to unite and develop this country.
Peter Mutharika, 78 years old, campaigned for a second term by praising his country's infrastructure record, including roads, and pledged to make Malawi a better country in 5 years. Yet his opponent denounced the corruption that stained his first term. Mutharika found himself involved in a bribery case, suspected of receiving more than $200,000 from a businessman who had won a multi-million-dollar contract from the police. In Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari has always come out against corruption. This was even one of his campaign promises during the country's presidential election. Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian president, was sworn in on Wednesday for a second term of 4 years. He once again assured everyone of his posture against corruption in his country. This has always been one of the most important points of his different campaigns. Also in 2015, when the then candidate Buhari had promised to eradicate corruption, and last February, during the presidential election, he reiterated this promise. Upon taking office for a new term of 4 years, he reaffirmed his priority, that of fighting against corruption. The Nigerian president was usually pointed out as being slow at fulfilling his first-term campaign promises. The president accuses members of parliament of having blocked the budget for several months and to be responsible for the delays towards implementation or completion of different projects by his administration. To date, no condemnation has been pronounced by the justice, and the president promises to make sure that those who have harmed the Nigerian economy will be punished, even though he can rejoice due to the repatriation of some goods from Europe and America. Facebook, the social network, intends to release by early 2020 its cryptocurrency called Global Coin for the benefit of its 2 billion users worldwide. The introduction of this new cryptocurrency, which will primarily use beta test during 2019, will play a major role in countries with low banking rates, particularly in Africa. Despite the piracy scandals and the high volatility that mark their journey, cryptocurrencies are booming in Africa. Formerly meant for a small circle of speculators, this phenomenon, which is alarming the financial world, is increasingly affecting the real economy. Facebook wants to internally test its own currency by the end of this year and plans to launch it in the first quarter of the year 2020 in 12 countries. Based on blockchain technology, this virtual currency could be indexed to several traditional currencies such as the US dollar, the euro, and the Japanese yen in order to limit its volatility. Mark Zuckerberg's group would also be in contact with some financial companies regarding ways to allow people without bank accounts to send and receive money. Facebook would also conduct discussions with a number of online merchants who might accept its cryptocurrency as a means of payment in exchange for advantageous transaction fees. A cryptocurrency is a virtual currency that operates independently from banks and governments. It can be exchanged and traded like any physical currency. There are a large number of cryptocurrencies available with their own features and applications each. However, those with strong market capitalization remain in the minority, at least for the moment. For instance, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. The captain of Paris Saint-Germain had been questioned since he punched a fan after the final of the French Cup, which PSG lost to Rennes 10 days ago, at the time of publishing the list of players who will compete in the Continental Tournament at home from June 14 to July 7th. Thomas Tuchel, the coach of Paris Saint-Germain, claimed that Neymar made a mistake, but that he wanted to speak to him face-to-face before making his final decision on the team's captain. Neymar, 27 years, was given the armband at the end of the 2018 World Cup when he was ridiculed for his simulation in Russia, where Brazil was eliminated in the quarterfinal by Belgium. On Saturday, the arrival of the star at the training center where the Seleção prepares for the Copa America did not go unnoticed. The number 10 of the Seleção was supposed to show up on Tuesday but arrived 3 days earlier, not without missing a PSG training last Thursday, while Thomas Tuchel later claimed that he was not exempted. The armband logically goes to another player, Dani Alves, 36 years old, 108 matches. He will wear it from the friendly matches of preparation for the Copa America against Qatar on June 5th in Brasilia and against Honduras on June 9th in Porto Alegre. The team right back had already been captain 4 times when from 2016 until 2018 World Cup, Thomas Tuchel had adopted a system of captain's armband rotation, moving from one player to another at each match. Neymar had previously been captain of the 2014 and 2016 national team when Dunga was the coach. Peter Mutharika, president of Malawi, elected for the second time in a row, was sworn in on Tuesday, May 28, 2019 at Blantyre Stadium, attended by thousands of people. Peter Mutharika obtained 38.57% of the votes, ahead of his main rival, Lazarus Chakwera, with 35.41% of the votes, according to the Electoral Commission. This week, Wednesday, President Muhammadu Buhari was re-elected for a second 4-year term at the head of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with 56% of the vote. Upon taking office, he reaffirmed his intention to fight against corruption and the high proportion insecurity as his top priority. Neymar paid the price for his indiscipline. In less than 3 weeks from the Copa America's competition, the Brazilian coach took back the Brazilian captain's armband and handed it over to Dani Alves, considered as a more experienced player. The announcement was made in a statement on Monday evening by the Brazilian Football Federation. That's all for our newscast today. Stay tuned on Gabon 24 for more news.